This is LaSalle Legends. And look at this play. Philly special! Why not? Philly! Here's Waller. Waller goes behind his back. LaSalle with two. At the horn. Hits it! Ball game.
Unbelievable!
Shot from an off angle, they score! Daniel Sambuco with 28 seconds left. 4-3, and then LaSalle with 28 seconds left. They get one more! They score again! And they lead 5-4. Here's Kiska on the drive. Timby, an open three. Good! Jake Timby does it again!
Welcome into the inaugural edition of LaSalle Legends, where we go back and take a walk down memory lane through some of the greatest moments of LaSalle athletics history. And what a great place to start. We have the 2013 Penn Relays Distance Medley Relay Championship of America champions, and the foursome here of Andrew Stone, who ran the 1200 leg, Levi Hardy, who ran the 400 leg, Jack Magee, who ran the 800 leg, and then Tom Coyle, who kicked it in, closed it, and ran the 1600 and crossed that finish line first. Also, Greg Bielecki, head coach of LaSalle College High School, is with us here. And guys, so happy that you're here. The Penn Relays is just an unbelievable display of amateur athletics, the preeminent amateur track and field meet in the world. And I'd open this up to Greg Bielecki first. Your thoughts on what the Penn Relays means to you and to LaSalle as an institution?
Sure, yeah. I mean, obviously being, the biggest meet in America held every year with tons of attention on it, and being in Philadelphia, it's both at the forefront of the sport and, kind of our track and field community in the greater Philadelphia area. So, I mean, every year it's a meet that we are thinking about and looking forward to as soon as track season begins. And with this group of guys, from the time they were freshmen, we knew we had something pretty special going, and we just kind of tried to prepare as best we could every day. And and one thing I've thought about a lot in the last few days since this idea came up is, this was one of those moments that I knew, what happened on the track that day was really just a manifestation of like what these guys had done for day in and day out for years. I mean, it was a really emotional thing to watch, so much hard work and so much teamwork and support all come together in really like, just the most perfect way. And it's still a day that gives me goosebumps when I think about it. And for me, I mean, I've been down to Penn Relays, every year since I've been involved in the sport. And I mean, the moment I step in that stadium now, every time, I just see these four guys taking a victory lap. And that's what I think about as soon as I see that stadium. If I'm driving down 76, I'm thinking about these four guys on that victory lap. It means a lot to all of LaSalle track and field, and it always will.
Tremendous perspective there. And guys, for four high school athletes running in a meet with the pedigree that it has since 1895, tell me about the Championship of America. What really that defines? I mean, it's kind of defined in the name itself, but to be champions of the country in that way, what led you to decide to go the DMR route? I know there were other options that you had. And then what did it mean to get into that final heat?
Yeah, I mean, so another thing with the Penn Relay is just tacking on Coach Bielecki's comment is that this is something that we were all looking for since like the 5th grade. The Penn Relays was an activity that all of us got excited about in CYO track and field, really just starting in grade school. So way back in the day, Andrew, myself, and Jack were all competing for different grade school teams against each other, seeing the track for maybe like 5 minutes in a 4x100 meter relay. Levi, I'm not sure if you had that same experience, but and then shifting gears to high school, we were focused on the 4x8 for the first couple of years. Andrew had some really good experiences his freshman year running the 4x8. Even we had that year had the #1 time indoors in the nation in the 4x800. So that was definitely something that we could have taken. But just kind of looking at our skill strengths and seeing what we did the previous year in the DMR, I think it kind of made sense that we could really put together something special and do it against the best competition, as you said, in America. I mean, the anchor leg itself had 4 sub-4 minute milers to be one of the best college runners in history, one of the best Paralympian runners in history, as well as some of the best teams in the nation with a giant pedigree that are always in the national rankings every year. So it was an incredible opportunity for us to really go out there and show what LaSalle's made of.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as like choosing the DMR as that event, I feel like Coach Bielecki did a good job of seeing what each one of our strengths was and putting us in those legs, really giving us the best opportunity to succeed. So, I mean, at the Penn Relays, everything lined up. I mean, the environment there is like nothing you ever really experienced. So I really, Bielecki did a good job with that.
The only other note about the 4 of us running the DMR, I was actually thinking back on it. I think that was only the 3rd time the 4 of us had ran together, the first being at the indoor Pennsylvania State Championship meet, which we won, and then maybe 2 weeks prior at Colonial Relays down in William & Mary. So, we were all really close, really good teammates, but we had only really ran it 2 times before having won both races. So it was really cool.
And in a way, right, Levi was the new addition to the team that year. His predecessor was Mike T. Candido from the 2012 DMR. So Tom, Jack, and I, we had ran the DMR, the Penn Relays as well the prior year. But the previous 2 years, for at least Jack, Tom, and I, our class year, we had run the 4x8.
I also think after like that indoor win, that's what we knew we were going to go with at Penn Relays, because we just ran such a strong time, and basically most of our competition was kind of at states during that indoor meet. So.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. So that sets the stage for what transpired in late April of 2013, and let's us, as well as the rest of the LaSalle community, take a look live and get everybody's live reactions and walk through the meet together in that particular race one more time. So we start this race about 600 meters in. Andrew Stone, the lead off leg, hanging with a tight pack at that point. I'll let you guys take it from here.
Yeah, so it was an interesting start, just thinking back to the prior year. Some people got out really hot, really fast. So that initial first 400 lap was fairly quick. Then the next 200 really settled down. People started moving around, jockeying for position. And my goal was just to stay calm, collected, and in a position near the front of the pack that, with 200 to go or whatever, I could make my move.
And Andrew, I'm going to interrupt you just to let everybody know you are wearing the white top with the blue shorts, hanging in 3rd place right now as you watch it. So that's big Andrew Stone in 3rd there.
Yeah, I mean, I just add in that, I don't know how many people would know this, but when Andrew was a freshman, I think it was the last year that Usain Bolt ran at the Penn Relays, and we had made the Championship of America 4x8. And I remember walking into the paddock that day and Andrew was going to lead off on Saturday afternoon at Penn Relays. There's 40,000 people in the stadium. I remember when we walked into the paddock, the upper bowl was shaking. And as a freshman, he went out and nailed it. And from that point, I thought, we've got a lockdown leadoff leg. And, for this day, I remember just thinking, if it's fast, I know Andrew's going to keep us close. I know we're going to be in it. and it'll string things out and probably thin the pack and get us out of the fray. You know, and even if we're not in the lead, Andrew just always did such a great job of keeping us right there.
And you see, as you say that, Coach Bielecki, Andrew Stone ends up in a pack of 4. Now Levi taking off here for his 400 leg.
Yeah, I was watching this last night, and I got kind of pissed off that I didn't catch that guy right there when we were coming around that turn. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, come on, Bob, what are you doing? Like, hit a little harder here. But no, that was definitely the hardest 400 I ran. I remember, you know, after handing that baton off, we're coming up to the last straightaway here. And I remember just handing that baton off, and like my hands hit my knees. And I'm just like, kid, you gotta get off the track. I'm like, I don't know if I can walk right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Right? So, and
I could be wrong too, but I think that Jack, Andrew, and Levi all ran their personal bests.
yeah, we all topped off in this race.
Yeah.
So now Andrew and Levi, you guys are done with your legs. Here's Jack Magee coming around the first turn here. What are you guys thinking? I mean, you guys are spent, out of energy. How did you guys feel about the position you guys were in at this point?
I felt good. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was on the infield dizzy with lactic acid.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say. I was like, I'm still trying to catch my breath right now after hitting that baton.
There's definitely excitement with the infield and just seeing everyone, you know, doing field events, trying to get a glimpse through and catch your teammates somewhere on the track, the oval, circling around. But here I felt really good about Jack. He's popping off, like you said, with holding on to the pack, running that 8.
Jack, they just set 56 for the first 400. This went out quick. Walk me through this one.
Yeah, it definitely did. You know, that group in front of me was they were really talented runners and were really going after it. And, you know, I think last year I was in a pretty similar spot and I probably went out a little bit too hard and I tried to do too much. And I think, you know, going up to the race, I know Coach was just stressing, just, you know, trying to stay within yourself and run your race and, you know, not try to overextend yourself. When you have, you know, Tom on the anchor, who is, you know, for my money, the best finisher in the field, you know, as long as the stick was towards the top, Tom was going to bring it home. So it kind of puts you at ease, you know, in my position.
I just remember thinking this last 200 was night and day from the year before. I mean, Jack ran a great first 600 last year, and in the last 200, you know, I mean, he had battled, but it was hard, and I think that was one of those things that's really hard at Penn Relays, you know, to fully maintain your focus on that moment right there and not get a little bit out of it, you know, as you're just trying to think about finishing a leg. And I remember watching Jack's last 200, you know, in 2013 and thinking like that was it, man, like that was 4 years of work and maturity right there. I mean, and he nailed it in the last 200. And as soon as we were that close, and I saw the lead pack, you know, not hammering from the gun, I was like, you know, we're cozying up on this thing and this is going to be fun, you know?
Yeah, I remember me and Jack at this point right here. I remember we were getting emotional. We were tearing up at this point and kind of hugged each other because we just knew Tom in this position right here was just going to hawk these kids down. Like we were just, I remember that, and we were looking like, yo, like we got this. Like
we knew what was coming, honestly.
Yeah.
Seen it in a number of workouts to this point. Tom was a finisher.
So, Tom, you're biding your time at this point, right? The pack of 3, Coach Bielecki said it. They didn't necessarily hammer this first 400, and you got 4 laps now down to 3 laps to make up this distance in this ground. Mm-hmm. Where are you mentally and physically at this point?
Yeah, so it was really important when I got that baton not to make up the lead all at one time. Just being really calm, really collected, and running the most tactical race that I could. I knew that, you know, there was one move to be made that was with 150 meters to go, and that was the last move I was going to make, and kind of like the only real big push. And so that was kind of the whole game plan here. It's let's get to that final lap, and then let's wait till 150 to really make that move. So right here is just, you know, let's get back onto that pack. And let's just hang out there. No reason to push the pace. If they're going slow, then they're just feeding into my strengths. So, you know, I was getting excited, but you got to keep that emotion down. Another thing too is, as I talked about, the future best runner in college, Edward Cheserek, was in this race. So right about now, I just heard Cheserek 154. And so the previous year, he blew by me on the first lap, and I knew the race was kind of out of my hands at that point. And, you know, it's kind of scary when you hear someone under 350 mile pace when you're in high school. But I knew that he probably went out a little bit too quick, and there was no room to make up after that. So I kind of knew that this was the floor that was going to cross the line.
Yeah, and you see this bunch right here, right now. I mean, let's get the rest of the team's reaction on this moment in time as you realize Tom has made up the ground and it's going to be a kick to the finish here in the Final Four.
Nerves.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, there's a point where it's like, you know, Jack handed off that baton, and we were just like, we knew Tom was gonna get it, even when we were all the way back in, you know, that far fourth place. Like we knew.
By the way, that was right there. That was the moment. The Mike Brannigan move was the moment I knew we were going to win. He went first. He went too early. I mean, I knew he went too early, and really, I felt like that whole third lap, it was a waiting game. Who was going to be the most impatient person in that pack of four? And as soon as somebody else made the move, I went, game over. Like, you know, Tom's going to do this. I mean, he went a hair early for my liking. I remember thinking when he went by him there, it was about 160. I was like, would like to wait at about 40 meters more. But that was 4 years worth of work right there. I knew nobody else was getting back past him.
Bring us home here, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, this was just, you kind of black out during this phase, like just rush of emotion. Sorry, I just finished it. Still get goosebumps.
Let's go.
But yeah, I mean, when you made that final move, you really just kind of like everything at once. It's like you bring everything you have and you kind of put it out on the track. So you're in so much pain. You have all this emotion going through you. The crowd's going, and it's just this like deafening noise. And so I do remember, you know, as Coach said, I probably went a little bit too early. I heard the footsteps coming up behind me, and Magee Brannigan did make a second wave, but ultimately able to hold that off. And as I crossed that finish line, just kind of, you know, thinking back on all those years, all that experience, all of that talking about try to win Penn relays and do something special, like kind of just hits you all at once. And probably celebrated a little bit too hard relative to what other people think, but yeah, I mean, that was just like not just 4 years, but a tradition of LaSalle track and field kind of manifesting itself at one point. So yeah, it was a really special time.
And I think that last 200, that was like some really hard-earned confidence that you saw there. I'm sure Tom will tell you, you know, like there was more than a couple times over the course of the preceding 4 years where, you know, I'd watched him, you know, I mean, instincts were always great. You know, I mean, I remember your junior year when you took the lead at cross-country state meet, you know, the instincts were great, but I remember after the race, you know, saying to him, like, you know, I think you made the move out of impatience. You made the move because, you know, you didn't want to sit there and wait and, you know, have to sit with the kind of building anxiety, you know, by working really hard and thinking about that through all those workouts and races along the way. You know, I knew that by the time we got there that year, when he made a move, it wasn't a move of impatience. It wasn't a move of, you know, I just got to get the lead. And, you know, it was like, this is what I'm doing and I'm doing it now. You know, it was a very, very mature race, you know, one that, you know, had taken a lot of time to build to. That was a beautiful thing.
Clearly a defining moment in LaSalle cross-country track and field, the running program at LaSalle in its history. I mean, I'm not asking you to rank it, but put it in perspective. Greg,
yeah, sure. I mean, you know, you figure, I mean, it's not often that you're the best team in America.
Number one.
You know, and And more than that, like, you know, there are a lot of, you know, I mean, I've watched a lot of DMRs down there, and I've seen a lot of teams, you know, win and they were impressive, but a lot of times, you know, they win on, you know, on one monster leg, or, you know, they win, you know, something that you would kind of rank it like a toss up. Like, I mean, this was 4 separate guys who each ran the best race that they could run, but did it in the context of something way bigger than themselves. You know, I mean, I have not been a part of anything on the track at LaSalle that has ever, you know, been close to this. I mean, it's, you know, proudest moment in LaSalle track and field in my lifetime. So.
That's great. And so now to each of you guys, and we'll go in order as the legs ran. How has your life changed for the better from this, you know, both on and off the track?
Penn Relays is a fairly good part of my life. Met my current girlfriend of 5 years through Penn Relays. Being able to wear a Penn Relay sweatshirt and identify. But no, I think, right, it's given a sense of fondness, meaning, and honestly confidence as well. Just being able to move forward and, right, go on to college for a lot of us, and running the college team. But no, you know, the unique thing about Penn Relays is it's not just a high school meet. It's not just a grade school meet, not even just a college meet. There's pros as well. And so it really spans all the different competition levels, and being able to have that familiarity as you kind of advance the next level, it's something to draw upon.
Yeah, I mean, so like I have a son now, and we actually just went for, like, when we go for our walks, he loves to run. This kid will run half a mile without stopping around the block. And we have that plaque up in LaSalle. So for him to be able to, you know, hopefully one day go there and just see that, remember that, and hopefully be there when it's his time. But it's definitely going to be a lot for me. So.
If for me, you know, like you said, Penn Relays is a huge meet. It could be a little bit intimidating as you know, as a freshman, sophomore running down there. And, you know, when it kind of just taught me that when you kind of buy into a program, you know, really fully commit with a group of guys that you love, that you can really, if you set your mind though, you can really go out there and, you know, accomplish your goals. And it could be a little bit intimidating at first, but when you kind of lean on these guys through those tough days, those tough workouts, you know, it can happen, and it's a reality. So, I mean, that was an awesome day for me personally and all of us. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Jack said. Another thing too is, you know, I have a little brother who is currently a junior on the team. Fortunately, he won't get to have any Penn Relays experiences this year. But just thinking about what that meant for the LaSalle track and field program and people like my little brother, it kind of just raised the bar on what the expectations of the program is, and what LaSalle and under the tutelage of Greg Bielecki is capable of doing. And I think that you've seen after that year, there was a new expectation set, and in a lot of ways, those teams have met that expectation, like winning cross-country states, consistently being on the podium across all state championships, multiple individual state championships, and then seeing my little brother kind of be a part of that program and see where it's come from, you know, just 7 years ago, is something that's really special to me. And then, I mean, another thing too is that, you know, Penn Relays, like, it's so sad that it got canceled this year. Like, it breaks my heart. But now I live in San Francisco right now, and you know, occasionally you cross someone who was somewhat related to the track scene in Pennsylvania here. It's a running community is pretty tight, and everyone, when you find out that you're a Pennsylvania track runner, the first thing is you run at the Penn Relays, and so, like, you know, those legends are kind of created there, and so it's something that never leaves. You know, you're always a Penn Relays champion, and share those stories with your friends, family, and loved ones, and kind of always live on. So something really special.
and a great experience to get back together and watch this. Obviously, some trying circumstances out in the real world right now, but a really cool opportunity to do something like this. And I hope it was valuable to you. I know it'll be valuable to the LaSalle community to have this opportunity to re-experience it with the team itself. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time, and again, hope this was something special for you guys.
Yeah, Bob, thank you for doing this. Thanks for organizing. It's awesome.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, thank you, Bob.
My pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day, and to the LaSalle community, hope you enjoyed this inaugural edition of LaSalle Legends. And until next time, hope everybody stays safe and healthy.